All right, everybody. Welcome back to the fourth episode of Jorge's Isolation Podcast. I am Jorge Chapa, coming straight from McAllen, Texas. Today, I have a wonderful guest, a very close friend of mine who is near and dear to me, Broadway sensation, Keri Fuller. She was on Waitress. She just finished a run of Cats, and she took over the internet by a song that she did on BroadwayWorld.com. Right?
Yes, Broadway. Is
You
it
did it.
Broadway.com? Just
Broadway.
Broadway. No, Broadway
Broadway.com.
World.
Broadway. You
The
sang
Broadway.
Memory? You sang
Yeah.
Memory? Yeah, you're probably going to sing it in a few minutes. So start the vocal warm-ups. And yeah, Keri, how are we doing?
Day by day, my friend, day by day.
Oh, I know.
Honestly, though, never have I ever had to genuinely take each day. Normally I have a plan. I'm like, okay, here's my plan, or here's what I'm going to do today.
Yeah.
Here's,
Well, when you told me that you had to check your planner to see if you could talk to me, I was like, why?
Listen.
Or you have shows you're watching on Netflix?
I'm in very high demand.
Like, seriously, is it between ice cream scoops?
I wish. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. No. So, how's life? You are in New York City right now?
Yes, I am. And weirdly enough, it's very unchanged here.
Really?
Yeah, it feels very unchanged. Like, I just moved to the West Village in May.
Fancy.
Literally right down the street from where we used to work.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great. I mean, it's fantastic. There's so much to do around here, so it kind of hoodwinks you into like, oh, it's not a global pandemic.
Oh, I know. And there's so much to do in the West Village as opposed to like you were living in Jersey City. We lived in Jersey City too. Before we moved. There's not a lot to do or eat around Jersey City.
Exactly.
We found out for being such a huge city, it blows my mind how many places there are not to eat there.
I know.
You can go to the mall at Newport.
I know, right? Newport, and then maybe like, wasn't there a Morton Williams? You could go.
There's a Morton Williams,
some antipasta bar.
Yeah, exactly. There's that you can do, or there was an Ample Hills ice cream.
Oh, see, I never saw that.
Oh, girl,
I know. I heavily missed out.
Yeah, we got that.
I missed out.
It was actually close to one of Bao's pediatrician's office, so.
Like something's wrong. We need to go to the doctor today.
She needs to go. She's feeling a little warm. Yeah, but Newport was whack. It wasn't that bad. It was quiet. It felt homier than
very familial.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of families there. And
for all of the children I don't have.
Well, that you are going to have. You're gonna have like 7.
Oh, dear God.
Anyway, so you're in the West Village now. Tell me, this is the time of the pandemic, and what were you doing? You were doing a run of Cats, the national tour. Yeah. You're crushing it as Grizzabella.
I was.
And
8 times a week.
That ended.
Yeah, that ended I finished my contract. I stayed a couple weeks extra. They needed some coverage, so I stayed a couple weeks extra. Mm-hmm. So I ended up coming back at the end of January. Mm-hmm. And then I hit the grind again, just auditions after audition after audition. And then I was super lucky, super #blessed.
#blessed.
And
blessed.
And I ended up booking Jagged Little Pill on Broadway. Oh. And we were in rehearsal. It was like so much fun, Jorge. We were in rehearsals. Like I learned the entire score. We were starting on stage, like some choreography and everything. And then on like the 4th day of rehearsal, our stage manager comes out and they're like, so, I mean, you guys are more than welcome to finish out the rehearsal day, but Broadway's going to be suspended until April 12th at the time. It was only April 12th.
Like when they said that?
So
what did you think when they said that?
I wanted to throw myself off of the stage. I wanted to climb up into the catwalk and throw myself to my death.
As Grizzabella would do.
As Grizzabella would do. Actually, I think we all kind of saw it coming a little bit.
So wait, so you're what? How many days into rehearsal, you said?
Like 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah, not even a full work week.
Well, when you were booking it, okay, so I have not done like a full Broadway run or any Broadway run.
Okay.
When you book something on Broadway, because I know commercials is a very fast turnaround. I know TV
Right.
is somewhat a fast turnaround. Like when you audition, either there's a
Yep.
callback or a screen test, and then you shoot it like a week or two later. So it's like within a 2 week, there's like turnaround for TV or
Yes.
film. Or maybe like about 3 weeks. But then like with stage, like how long were you waiting to start rehearsal, or when you found out you booked
Dude,
it?
like 48 hours.
So it was
Not
fast.
even 48 hours because they so I believe that my final callback was on a Friday. I want to say.
Yeah.
It was like all day Friday.
Yeah.
And then they called me I think on Monday morning, and then they're like, "So, yeah, you booked it. You're probably going to start rehearsals tomorrow." It was
Really?
like a very, very fast turnaround. Yeah.
So okay. Okay. What office was it that was casting?
It
Chelsea?
was Stephen Copel.
Coble. Okay.
So
They know
I'm the
you?
world's worst at music theater people, anything. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, you're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
Well,
didn't
I've been in the industry for how many years and I don't even know who people are. I'm the
35
worst.
years you've been in it. You should know better. Shame on you.
7 years ago.
And then what? So then they told you, hey, we're going to suspend it till April 12th. And you're like, okay, I think I'm going to come back.
Well, I mean,
Or did you really start watching the news?
I was contracted to stay on until like the end of August.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well then when it was pushed back to June something, I was like, okay, I'll still have a couple months. And
Yeah.
then June rolls around and it's like, oh, we're going to actually do it until August something.
Yeah.
Like, great. Okay. I would have 1 week, but like at that point I hadn't been rehearsing. I didn't know my tracks. Like,
Yeah.
so now that it's, until indefinitely, I suppose, I guess. Didn't they say until like January or something?
Yeah. January. And who knows? They don't know then how they're going to run it. And I don't know. I think the contracts, how's that going to work? Are people going to finish off their contract and then you're going to pick up where you left off?
They had to extend, I believe it's extend all of the contracts 6 months.
Okay.
That was I guess the agreement that the Broadway League reached. But now I'm not really sure because I've not really heard of anything because I was brought on as like a vacation cover. So I was covering very specific weeks, very specific tracks, not as a permanent player on stage. But now I'm like, when we come back, I don't know if I'll have a contract with them anymore, which, it's completely understandable, but it's it's just wild, it's just it's wild,
unheard of. It's never happened before. I've heard that with some other contracts with other shows that they're gonna like finish off whatever the remainder was. And then like people are just gonna pick up kind of as if in January, I don't know, let's just say January 1st is when they say they're gonna pick up. Just as an example, I don't know when it's gonna pick up. And if someone's contract was another like 2 weeks, like say through like January 14th, or like it would have been like the 14 days, they would finish that. And then the people would have to come in after that. And it's kind of like as if they press pause and then they press play again.
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
That'd be nice,
but at the same time, all of us are going to be so hesitant to like leave our workplaces because God only knows.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm like, okay, whatever is. Luckily, I'm a deeply spiritual person, and I am like, whatever is destined for me will not pass me by. I feel so strongly that when all of this is, done or at least alleviated, that theater is going to be what people need and desire and go to. As kind of a catharsis. So I'm really, really hoping that is the case. Really
What's going to happen is
awesome.
there's just going to be a bunch of pandemic plays.
I know, right? All of these. I'm actually really excited to see what artwork and new shows comes from this.
You know,
like,
it'd be awesome if like, well, I mean, it wouldn't be awesome, but like instead of murder mysteries, and I think this is kind of a little lowbrow, it'll be like who got the COVID,
who did, and then it's like
escape rooms.
It's all like based on like the apocalypse.
Yeah,
it's like what would have happened, and can you imagine apocalypse songs, like the musical score of an apocalyptic musical?
Yeah, like book by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yes.
Score by Ozzy Osbourne. It'd be amazing.
I'd go see it.
I'd go see that.
Are you kidding me?
Imagine if those two got together.
I would audition for it.
I think I would too, even though I suck at musical theater. I mean, you're definitely much better at it than I am. I mean, I've had my my chances, close calls. Was Patrick Star. Remember that?
I cannot believe that. I remember reading those sides with you.
They were awesome. I mean, I crushed that.
We read a lot of sides together at that front desk. We were very irresponsible greeters.
You know what? They're not employing us anymore. So yeah, we were awful.
We were awful. We were like, people would be standing there and check in, and we're like, sorry, 1 second.
Where's my spin bike?
Where's the spin sign up?
It's like, you can afford your own spin bike. Go buy one.
Go get a Peloton.
Yeah, Karen. Imagine if like the term Karen was around when we worked at Equinox, how many times we'd call people Karen.
Everybody would just be Karen.
Because there was a lot of Chads.
Have a great workout, Karen.
Yeah, there was a bunch of Chads. I think a lot of Chads started going to Equinox later before I left, because there wasn't a lot of like straight guys that went there.
When did you leave? I forget.
Man.
Because I was
I left.
I transitioned to a trainer before you left, right?
Yeah. That's when you stopped talking to me.
I did.
At the front desk. You started like pulling your nose up as you walked by. And we're like, ma'am, where's your ID? And remember, like everyone had to show their ID walking in, and like you would just like say, I don't have to, and you'd walk by.
No, I would park it. I would park it next to the Kleenex box in the corner at the front desk, but then I would always get in trouble for standing there. So honestly, blame it on your supervisor.
I was my own supervisor. Let me tell you what.
I was the manager.
Yeah. Oh, that was one of the best things ever when I was arguing, because I was the nighttime manager on duty.
You were.
And the best thing was when someone was yelling at me. And they're like, let me speak to your manager. And I'm like.
And you turn around and you're like,
turn around.
He's here.
I take my glasses off. I'm the manager. And I drop my voice.
And you turn on an accent. You have to have an accent.
I'm the manager. That's awful. But then they can't talk down to me, because that'd be a hate crime.
It would.
It'd be a hate crime.
Yes,
Man,
it would.
There was a lot. There was a few times where I got hate crimed there. I never had any.
Just a few.
Yeah, a lot of people will talk bad about Texas. They could say Texas is as racist as all get out. But I grew up. I was born and raised in Texas, and I currently live in Texas now. I never had the racist situations or the magnitude of racism aimed at me until I worked at Equinox.
I firmly believe that.
That was unbelievable.
I firmly believe that.
It reminded me, like, there was a lot of time where when people were talking about the Central Park Karen.
Oh my gosh, Amy Cooper.
Amy Cooper. And people were surprised because, like, you know, any other day she would say, like, you know, I voted for Obama, or like, you know, I voted for Hillary. You know how many times those same people, how many Amy Coopers there were at Equinox? How awful.
Literally anybody that help. Anyone that walked through that door wearing Lululemon and Beats by Dre, they were the worst.
Yeah. And that's because I would wear Lululemon and Beats by Dre because I hated myself.
Well, really, you can't love yourself unless other people show you that you are validated in this world, right? That's how it works.
Exactly.
You only get self-worth from other people.
Exactly.
You know?
That's the only way to live.
It's the only way.
Oh my gosh. But then I think about it, like, when people were pointing out that Amy Cooper situation, I was like going through my memories. I'm like,
You guys would have a heyday in my mind.
I could ruin a career right now, or three. One in particular, this one guy, he threw the biggest hissy fit at the pool. And he even the lifeguards never come up unless there's something really, really bad because, they just don't care. Or like people usually behave themselves down there or they can regulate it.
Yeah.
When the lifeguard comes up, there's something going on. This one guy thought that he was just Superman and he didn't want to go to the slower lane because he thought he was like Michael Phelps fast. You know what I mean? And this is little guy.
Don't they all? Don't they all?
This little yappy guy. And he was like talking, he's like, "Are you the manager?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "They are like making me wait. I need to swim in the fast lane. They're not even fast. Look, I'm faster than them." And the lifeguard starts trying to talk. And, he was a Dominican kid who, his English was a little broken. He starts trying to explain his side of the story. And this guy in the pool raises his hand up and goes, "Shh, this is above you right now. Be quiet." And I was like, "Whoa, sir, you need to settle down with that. You're going to do what he says." He runs the pool. And then I'm going to say, "You know what? You can wait." And he's like, "So you're not going to kick someone out?" And I'm like, "No." And he takes off in the slow lane to show like his speed, his swim speed, like he's Michael Phelps or like he's a dolphin. And he's not even that fast. You know what I mean? He tries to run up on another member and she freaks out and it's like, what the heck is going on? And he pops out of the pool. He's like, "You're not going to do anything." "Well, I know the regional manager of the pools." And I'm like, "You do?" Because that's impossible because that guy doesn't even exist. Like there's no
regional manager of the pool.
That's like a made up like position that he made up. He's like, "Yeah, I know the regional manager of the pools and I'm going to talk to him." I was like, you can talk to somebody, but yeah, I don't think that's the regional manager of the pool.
No, I think you need to call your psychotherapist.
Yeah, exactly. And
instead of
he tries to prove it and tries to show me an email. So we go up to those computers that are by the email or by the elevator. And I'm just standing there by the elevator, not even paying attention. And this guy's like typing in to this computer, right? And he turns around and he just like makes a quick look at me and he's like, "Are you trying to steal my password?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, and he's like, "That's it. I've had enough." And I'm like, "Oh my God." Like,
just leave, sir. There's the door.
Yeah. And
just leave.
Jared's walking by, Jared. And then there's other people and they're asking what's going on. I was like, he's having a day. And he comes back out from the locker room. So we're by that big column, by the coat check. And he's like, "You said she's having a good day?" I was like, "I don't know. I said he's having a good day. But if you heard that," he's like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "It's Jorge." And I show him
here's my headshot and resume.
Yeah, are you well, that's a funny story though. He's like, I said, "My name is Jorge." And he's like, "Oh." And he's like, "Last name?" And I was like, "It's Garcia, right? It's got to be Garcia." And I'm like, "That's racist." And like, Jared was by the spa desk and there's other people at the spa desk. And he's like, "How am I being racist?" I was like, "You assumed that my last name was Garcia. It's Chapa. I was going to show you my name tag." I was like, "You need to settle down with that and calm down." And I'm just like, "Oh my God, this guy."
From henceforth, you will only be known to me as Jorge Garcia.
Well, you know how many, well, okay, going back, remind me to talk about Jorge because it feels so good for people not messing up my name down here. But so I'm going back to the front desk and I'm like, "Oh my God, I just hope he just leaves after throwing that hissy fit." And he comes out with his cell phone. He's like, "Look," and he's shaking with his cell phone up. And I'm like, "Stop moving. I can't read this." And it's from a manager. And you know who this manager is, but there's no regional pool manager. And I was like, "That guy's just a manager." He's like, "He's the manager of this area." And he's like, "Well, look what it says." And I pointed out, I was like, "It says right here that I have the ultimate authority over what happens in the pool, not you." And he's like, "No, it does not say that." I was like, "I'm reading that sentence verbatim. Let me read it to you." And he's just shaking. He's like, no, it does not say that. I was like, sir, stop acting like a tough guy. And he's like, don't call me a tough guy. And I was like, I didn't call you a tough guy. I said, stop trying to act like one, because you're not one.
Why did I miss this? How did I miss this?
Because it happened at like 10 o'clock at night or at 9.
I was probably on a floor shift.
You probably slaving away, picking up weights from people that didn't pick them up.
Handing up people towels.
Yeah. And
on their cardio machines.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was oh my God, the towels. It was a huge mess.
Counting a spin class.
It was awful, that guy. And I wrote an email, and I find out later, I said, I recommend that he gets house canceled because he was just being awful, cussing at people left and right. I told him to get out before I throw him out, get him arrested. And I find out later on that the day before or a few days prior, he had cussed out a few of the other employees and called them morons and just degraded them, just put them down. And these were African American women.
No need for that. There's
and
this no need for that.
Is a white dude. And this guy, he used to work for a production company for like a prominent actor, like one of their like top guys. He's young. Now this guy works for like, I guess him and his mom have this company where they help students, like high school students, get into Ivy League schools. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, do I really want to ruin someone's career? Like, I'm a bigger person. I think eventually it will come out.
Oh, well, yeah. And somebody's going to say something.
Yeah. And if you want, it's all on the notes in Equinox. Like, there's notes for days.
Is
house canceled. Yeah.
Astounding.
It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I would have just been standing there with my mouth agape. I would have just been in awe.
Yeah. It's
a human acts like that. What?
But I mean, you worked there at the front desk. I mean, or even on the floor. How bad was it on the floor?
I mean, it was like I felt so out of place all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
And like nobody actually wants you to approach them about things.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody's like, oh yeah, actually, will you help me with my form on my deadlift? And if they are asking that, they're just looking for a free training session.
Yeah, or your number.
Which would happen so very often. And I was like, aren't you here to work out? Just like work out.
Yeah. I got asked out all the time there.
Just bicep curl.
I was a treat. That was a snack there. Those guys.
Whole meal, Jorge.
I was. There's a lot of chubby.
Damn meal.
There were a lot of chubby Jason men there. I can tell you that. There were. And meanwhile, we're trying to like live our dreams out, working at a job where people look down on us for wearing shirts that have one word on the front to designate our job. Greet. Train.
What else was it? Maintain.
Yeah. They should have given the managers shirts that say manage.
Manage.
What did the pool say? Pool.
Guard.
It should be guard.
Save lives. Life saving.
Yeah. They should have done that.
Just goodness. Let's open up our own gym.
We should. No rules.
Spa.
Spa. Yeah, just said spa. Shop. Yeah. Sell. So creative. I love the fact that Broad City made fun of that.
Capitalism.
Yeah, we want y'all to work during blizzards and hurricanes.
Which so many times that happened.
Yeah.
So many times.
They're like, we want to know.
I'm sorry, I can't get to work. The train track is frozen.
But why?
But like, why can't you like get an Uber? Like that would be $58.
We're gonna give you pizza if you make it through a blizzard and a hurricane and stay in a cot with like 10 other people.
And then we'll let you watch us serve alcohol to the people working out on special events.
And if you're tuning in right now and you don't understand what we're talking about, this is the life of an actor and a survival job. Like there is a lot more to the glitz and glamour that we live. It's not just all limos and penthouses and
Tony Awards
and Emmys and Oscars and Golden Globes. It's our
Grammys.
lives.
Don't forget the Grammys.
Well, I was getting to that. Hello.
Okay, sorry. So sorry to interrupt.
We had to come from somewhere, and basically it was from the bottom of a shoe to get where we are.
You know, of a Nike Flyknit.
Yeah, a Nike
Flyknit. Of a Nike Flyknit. Or the
Remember how many times, like at the end of the night, like brand new pairs of sneakers were left behind and no one would claim them?
Nobody would claim. We had just like pick of the litter.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Pick of the litter.
Yeah, all you had to do was like launder it a little bit and you're good.
Yes,
it's so gross, but it was like, yeah, like I felt like I look back at these times we're working a survival job at a gym, a high-end gym, and seeing how like at some point in time these people could be our colleagues. Or they could be a potential fan.
They could be paying our checks. They could be signing our checks at the end of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that nuts to think that? And then they will talk to you totally different. Like I remember the first time people realized that I was on TV and that was more than just the stupid front desk guy.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, why is this old guy working the front desk?
I mean, that's when I started to respect you. So
yeah, well, I didn't start respecting myself until about the 5th TV gig. And even then, now I doubt myself. Like, no respect yet. But like, remember, like when they see you in something, it's kind of like, oh, hey, you were on Divorce? I saw you on the Yankee commercial. And it's like, I've been working here for 2 years and you just noticed me because I was on TV?
Yeah.
You yelled at me literally 2 days ago for giving away your spin bike because you showed up 15 minutes late.
You yelled at me because I had you yelled at me because you had to walk out here because you locked yourself out of the locker and I was the only way that you could get your bags.
And I asked you for your ID to prove that it was actually your locker because I want to make sure that you're safe and your stuff is not getting stolen. But I'm the bad guy.
Of course, Jorge.
Oh my God.
Jorge Garcia.
Jorge Garcia. So speaking of Jorge's, living down here in South Texas is amazing because I don't know if you remember this, but people would ask my name and I would say it's Jorge. And they're like, okay, Jose. Every single time.
I'm just surprised people didn't call you George.
They should have. It might have been easier, but it's they couldn't think of that. They just thought automatically he's Mexican and he must be Jose because the creativity doesn't really work that much there in the West Village.
No, it does not. Not unless there's a 6-figure check that comes with it.
Yeah, then I'm Jorge Chapa. And they'll say my name with accent and everything. I'm so glad we are not working at that gym. We're famous now.
Liberated. We've liberated ourselves.
We're about to go viral. Probably going to get about maybe, 10, 15 views.
15 and a half, probably.
15. Yeah, they're going to stop watching after like 4 minutes. It's going to be like an hour-long episode, and they're going to say, I've heard enough. These people suck.
15.475.
Yeah. Even if there wasn't COVID, they still wouldn't be working anyway. They suck.
No.
Yeah, that's true. I wasn't working anyway before COVID. So what have you been doing like now that there's been a shutdown? Have you been I know that you've been singing.
Yeah, I've been doing, luckily with creatives, there's always things to do.
Yeah.
So luckily my writer friends, I've done some demos for them. Mm-hmm. I've done some like virtual concerts. I have been doing some readings, just like random readings, just like to keep my skills sharp and to work with people.
That's good.
I've been dabbling in writing music, which is extremely hard, and I have so much respect for musicians.
Like pop or
like just anything that just comes to mind. I've mostly been working on like lyrics and words, and then seeing if a melody comes to mind or whatever. Just trying to stay afloat and just work on things that I never had time for.
Right.
And now I'm like,
your novel?
Yeah, my novel, absolutely not. I have nothing to say in a novel.
I think we just like let the cat out of the bag. We can start like our own little memoir working like we should like have like a whole book of like employee confessions of Equinox.
We would probably sell so many of those.
We're probably going to get sued after this post.
We probably will.
Or
For
we
slander.
can settle. Slander. It's documented.
Well, then how could we be sued?
Well,
we didn't say names.
That's good. You're right. We're not going to get sued. Maybe we could do the suing.
We probably could for emotional distress.
I'm very emotionally distressed. There's been I still think about it. I wake up with nightmares from that place. You should write songs about that, about Equinox.
Yes.
You should call it Floor Trainer, like make a musical out of floor training. It's
the emotions and trauma that would rehash.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth it.
I think it would be worth it. I think it'd be a global success. I think it would open up the dark aspects of the fitness industry. It could be like a torrid love affair between like a floor trainer with a blue shirt and a maintenance guy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Or like a membership advisor.
That's too easy.
It's too easy.
Yeah. Membership advisors are all floozies. You know that. That's too easy. You want it to be like, it's kind of like different sides of the track.
Unsuspecting,
Yeah, like one little
scene. You both
know
the struggle.
Exactly.
But that's how you bond, that's how that's the connection that you forge.
And one of the most beautiful scenes can be between like the part where you're re-racking weights and like the female, the heroine of the story can be like re-racking heavy weights. Yes. There's 145 that she just can't pick up.
No.
But then the maintenance guy comes over with his backpack vacuum. Yeah. the Rocket Man vacuums. He's like, let me help you. And it could be like starring like Wilmer Valderrama and like, I don't know who could play the girl.
Selma Hayek.
Selma Hayek can be the girl.
Yeah.
Like the maintenance lady with the vacuum. And like
and the ladder that they have to like track.
And Ben Platt is the trainer that can't pick up the 45. Is it Ben Platt? Yeah, from Evan Hansen. He could play that trainer that cannot pick up the 45 because he's still wearing the cast from Evan Hansen. He's knocking on the glass. That guy. Oh man.
Honestly, let's write it. Let's do it. Let's go.
It's going to happen. It's going to be called Floor Shift, the musical.
The shift of the floor.
And like the posters going along the outside of the theater, it's just going to be the shirts that say like greet. Maintain.
And that's going to be our merch too. Honestly, very easy.
It's basically, easy. You're just going to get the boxes of old shirts that they throw out. Or that are just in those like little attics, the attic behind the yoga studio.
Yes.
That's all it's gonna be.
Where they go to escape their like torrid love affair is like on the roof,
It's on the roof or in the steam room after hours. I mean, that could be another love story in the steam room.
Or is it really a love story?
It's more like a horror story from depending on which steam room you were in.
A horror film.
I got scared several times over there.
Yeah, and then I'm just like peaceful, just like
yeah. I felt very uncomfortable several times in that steam room.
I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
I will never forget filming
Sirloin. Yeah. Well, you know what? I have a daughter now who will probably see this short sketch that her daddy wrote, directed, and starred in. If you don't know, I'm going to post the link to that sketch down below if you're watching it on YouTube.
It's so good.
It's me and a couple of pals, we got together, we were doing some sketches, trying to stay creative, and I always had this idea of playing this like male stripper, kind of like the Kenny Powers of male stripping, and it was Sirloin. That's my stripper name, and there was other my counterpart.
I was only a documentarian.
You were and
I was wearing some specs and an alien shirt.
And you had a microphone.
And I was spraying down the men for their close-up in the yoga studio. Yeah. So my spray bottle, I'm like.
You know what? I think that this is gonna get like a ton of views now.
I-
Once I link this sketch down below, I totally forgot about that. Talk about there goes my career.
Watch where I started and then watch my memory video and like see how I just flourished.
Well, once again, I was talking a few episodes ago about how I worked with Rami Malek on Mr. Robot, and I got edited out of that because
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, well, it's because he was intimidated. Just the caliber of talent compared to his was just he couldn't.
It was
keep
overwhelming.
Up.
It was really overwhelming.
The continuity of the season would have been so thrown out because he kept messing up his lines, all that, you know.
Stumbling.
Like, yeah, and I feel that his winning of the Academy Award.
It was because of you.
It was, yeah. You said it. I didn't want to say it, but you said it. You said it.
If you didn't so graciously step out of the picture,
yeah,
it would all of his efforts would have been foiled.
Well, here's the truth. I actually asked to be edited out of that. I went to Sam.
What a sacrifice.
Yeah, Sam Esmail, the director. I went up to him. I was like, "Listen, you know, we see the kid struggling. You know, he's having
barely keeping his head above water, really.
Yeah, you know, and I don't know. I thought he was going to get better after lunch, but maybe he needed a cookie or two in him to show. But you know, that's unfortunately, you know, that's how the cookie crumbles. And I took one for the team. And I think what happened was he went home, he thought about that, and it's kind of like I remember when I was little, and I saw I wasn't little, I saw Braveheart or something inspirational, and I wanted to be like that. Yeah, I think I was already like 30 when that came out. I'm old. I'm old as dirt. And like I think that moved him. And so when I saw that you had posted that video and that was circulating around as a viral sensation of you singing Memory.
Yes.
I already knew that inspiration was drawn from working with me, not only on Sirloin, but the unseen footage of the Kingsland Chronicles. You're welcome. Now that you're here,
honestly, that
you don't
was
have to say it.
That was
welcome.
The memory I was drawing from.
Exactly.
That's why it was just so potent, Jorge. You know, like I just pictured myself eating popcorn and then being pinned against a wall and screaming as though I was being burned alive because I was an adulterous whore.
You know what? It was.
Well, do you have to bleep that out or something?
No. No one watches this, so you don't have to worry about it. They're probably not even listening to anything. Stop listening. Great. They probably stopped listening about half an hour ago.
I've stopped listening. I've stopped listening. So.
I don't even know who I'm talking to right now. It's a whole new person after that. Like when what she's talking about being an adulterous whore was a lost web series called The Kingsland Chronicles that I wrote, and I'm really, really mad that we lost all that footage.
I am too.
But you should be happy because it needed some work. It's going to come back. I'm going to redo it one day, and you're going to come back, and I'm going to have Chris Hemsworth throw you against the wall.
Okay.
Yeah. So Thor.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. He actually he private messaged me and asked.
I'll have to check my planner though whenever you reach out, you know, because I'm in very high demand.
Obviously, you had to check your planet when we're in the middle of COVID and Broadway shut down.
Yes. Yeah.
So you were probably
all of the work I'm doing. So
you know what I think what it was is that you were checking your planner or just saying you needed to check your planner because you wanted to avoid this.
No.
You're like, you know what? I was glad that he left the Texas.
No, here's the thing.
He's a loser.
I have so little going on that I actually tend to double book the small things that I do plan.
I'm gonna take a nap from 3 to 4:15 and then from
a.m.
3 p.m. to 4:15 a.m. I'm gonna wake up and eat asparagus.
Absolutely not. After that 2016 bikini competition, I never want to eat asparagus again.
Oh, I remember. Ever. We were fierce competitors in that.
We were.
I remember that. We didn't talk for months prior to that. And then
afterward,
afterward,
the carb depletion, you know.
Yep, I know. My bikini was a little too big. Some stuff
Yeah, it was
slipped out.
falling off.
Yeah, I know. That's why I put on the weight that I put on now. That's why I'm pushing 300. I'm just
Hey,
kidding. No, I'm not
handy,
there.
handy.
Yeah. So then, okay, now that we are here at COVID, you find
Yeah.
out Broadway is opening up in January. What do you think is going to happen? What are you going to do? Are you
Dude,
auditioning at
I
all?
don't
Like
even.
self tapes? Do you have are you going in
I
for any?
was.
Yeah.
I was like a couple like NCIS moments.
Ooh. In New
Um,
Orleans, did they tell us was
there
casting
were
the New
there
Orleans
were a
one?
couple. Yeah, there were a couple. I mean, my agency is not heavily film oriented. I probably should do something along those lines and look for that.
Yeah.
But I should probably become talented in the area first. So
Oh, yeah, you got it.
but
You got it.
I mean, I was actually doing a lot of self-tapes, several self-tapes and final callbacks for things in Chicago.
Ooh.
The West End was a thing.
The West
So
End.
really, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
luckily you
that
were
would have,
practicing your little accent, remember?
yes, I was. That was a fun day.
Yeah.
That was a fun day on Pride 2015 Pride.
2015, yeah, yeah. Way back
I
when.
decided that it was going to be, I needed to hone my craft,
Yeah.
and work on my accent toolbox. And so I was British the entire day, except if an actual British person came in. And like
Yeah.
Jorge and I would come up with
Stories?
like actual backstory.
Backstory,
like,
yeah.
where were you from? Buckinghamshire.
What?
Buckinghamshire.
Buckinghamshire.
Like,
Didn't I come up with some random character too named Tito?
probably.
I think I did. Yeah.
Tito.
You know,
He invented vodka.
invented Tito in Austin, Texas.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's so crazy. So, wait, so you were going in for stuff for the West End?
Yeah.
How does that work? They cast
Self-tape
Americans?
stuff. Well, a producer saw me in Cats when I was in Toronto, and he was working on a project and wanted me to submit things for it. So I've actually got to follow up on that follow-up.
How did that go?
COVID happened.
Yeah, he's like, I saw you in Cats, and I thought you were
Well,
perfect.
He like came backstage after the show, and so like he was like, send me things for this particular whatever.
And you sent in the sirloin sketch, didn't you?
And I did, yes, because that has booked me all of my work.
Yeah, I was getting some random numbers.
I always include that, as an
Yeah.
alternate take.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure they understand the full scope of my talent,
Well, it was
what I have to offer.
It shows the trajectory of your career from when you know before the inspiration, and then that's the inspiration, and then look at you now, Broadway.
If there's anything I've learned, you've got to remember where you came from,
Exactly. And that's at a men's locker room at Equinox with a bunch of dudes sprayed for a sketch about male strippers.
So funny. That was just so fun.
The fact
we were there until like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, the actor's life,
The actor's life. So, are you planning on doing any more recording, like personal music?
Yeah, I'm hoping to have an EP at least written, like skeleton written by the end of the year.
Nice. You have a band and all that?
Not really. I mean, I have people that would absolutely would love to be involved, but I've not gotten to that point in the process yet. I have a really good friend who's a phenomenal producer and a phenomenal musician. So kind of just starting and seeing what it's like, getting to know myself in that kind of capacity, because it takes sharing your writing in whatever field you're writing, whether it be like a screenplay or a journal entry, an essay, whatever, a review on Yelp. It's very vulnerable. It's a very vulnerable place to be, to finally like sit in front of somebody, watching them read your lyrics, and
especially a Yelp review when they've written it about your job at Equinox and they just wrote it because you didn't let them in for free for the day. No.
Exactly.
So how many songs have you recorded?
I mean, we've only recorded one thus far, and it is vastly different from the trajectory of what we actually want to record because it is a dance track.
What, like
Um,
EDM?
yeah,
Like
like
Marshmallow?
like you're gonna hear it in all of the clubs. You're gonna walk down, what is
Yeah.
that street in McAllen?
Downtown
With
17th.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
gonna be bumping and in
Yeah.
shots especially. And
Yeah.
it's literally, I remember distinctly the night that we all as a cast went out on 17th Street. It was so fun.
Yeah, that place is sketch. But yeah, I'm glad you
So
had a good
sketch.
time.
So sketch, but the thing is like everybody was like, here's free drinks, here's free hookah, here's free
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'll
Yeah.
take a tostada. Great.
Yeah. No,
Do it.
what day did you go on to 17th Street?
Oh my gosh, like
Hopefully a
a
Tuesday.
Thursday,
Good, yeah.
like a Thursday or something, not like a
Yeah.
weekend because we had 5 show weekends in McAllen.
Like a lot of those bars are owned by like drug dealers and like cartel people.
Yeah, well, I believe that. I do believe that.
Yeah.
We literally went to this place that was called Shots.
Yeah, I think I know what it is. Yeah. So there was another place called Shots, and I think it might have been the same owners. There was like a fight that happened, and like
Shit.
this one dude, like just I don't know, like I was in there with my friends, and you can see that something was about to pop off because one little guy and one big guy, it's kind of like Spike, and like, hey Spike, what are we gonna do, Spike? Huh? And the big guy and the little guy go out like with the mission, and like my friends and I looked at each other and we're like, uh-oh, something's gonna happen. We go outside, and the next thing you know, like there's a dude like unconscious on the parking lot, and they're like hitting him, and like you could tell the big guy did all the work, but the little guy started like running his mouth and like hitting him while he was already down, and like the girlfriend was trying to shield him, and like
Oh,
it sucks because you want to break it up, but you don't know if they have weapons. You know what I mean?
right. You've got to self-preserve.
And luckily they pulled the little guy off because he was starting to get out of hand, and I'm like, oh man, this place it's pretty sketch.
Yeah, and you got to go a little earlier. Like you can't be out there
Yeah,
like a 3 a.m. moment.
Oh my god, no.
But I had a phenomenal time in McAllen.
Yeah,
I really
awesome.
did. It was so fun.
It's
so
probably
fun.
better then than it is now.
Probably.
We're getting pummeled right now. It's so awful. We left New York in December and we came down here and thinking, it's gonna be better for our daughter. It's better for us. And then COVID hit New York really bad. We're like, we're so
Oh, thank God. Yeah.
Yeah, we're so glad we left when we did. And sure enough.
And then bum.
Well, people didn't take it serious.
Yeah.
And people just didn't think it was happening because as it was happening in New York, we were going through the same kind of lockdown. Right. And there was no COVID cases yet because it was coming from the outside in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so as nothing was happening, our governor also made it seem like nothing was happening. And so he decided to open up the state and say, we need to work. And I was like, I get it. You know what I mean? But he was saying we're going to go, like, obviously the phase plan, right? And the phase plan was contingent from moving from one phase to the next phase to the next phase was contingent on if the cases were rising or not.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So he makes the announcement, we're going to open up in phases. And phase one, we're going to open up restaurants at or not restaurants. We're going to open up businesses, I think, maybe restaurants at 25% capacity. That's fine. Never once did he say masks are required. He's like, masks are optional. The weekend he opens up, cases start going skyrocketing.
Yeah, they're popping off.
And then he's like, you know what? We're going to open up in like the next 2 weeks. Phase 2, 50% capacity. Let's open up gyms. Well, he opens up again. Masks are still not.
I remember hearing.
Gyms are open up, and then cases are going up and up and up. Bad. And it's just like, why even say that you're gonna like stop the phases if the cases go up? If you're not gonna stop, you're just gonna keep going. It's kind of like you see something like breaking, but like, let's just keep pushing it. It's not gonna break until it's finally broken, and now it's broken. And here in McAllen, we're overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
And then we got pummeled by a hurricane a week ago. And so it's just like there's so much.
It's like when are you coming back to New York?
Never.
That's a very selfish desire, I suppose.
We'll go back. I mean, the baby was born there. She needs to see where she was born. And Rosa still works in New York.
Yeah.
So we'll probably go up there to visit.
Unless you have to tell me when.
Oh, absolutely. We'll tell you, and then we'll probably finish shooting the next series of sketches of Sirloin.
Perfect.
Because I've already.
Can I be a better role this time, please?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can I oil them down with my hands?
You'll get all the other dudes. You can actually now it's like a year later, and you're working for Fox News. You moved up from the
Fox. They wouldn't even play Fox News and Equinox. There's no way. But what gym are we going to film it in? That's the thing. We no longer have ties to that Equinox.
Yes, we do. Wink, wink for those listening. Winking. We know people. You don't even know which Equinox we're talking about.
It's all about networking,
Networking, baby. Networking. It's all about who you know in this business. It's all about who you know. What was so before getting into this business, what were some misconceptions or some theories that you would hear about?
Oh my god.
That people would tell you or that they thought?
That auditions were terrifying. That the people behind the table were just just wanting you to just crash and burn.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's the thing. I still get very nervous about auditions. That's not what I'm saying. But I know that they want to find somebody to fill the slot in their show. I know they want to find someone. So all you have to do is just go in and be oh, I'm that person, you know?
Yeah. You can't be a nerd about it.
Right. Yeah. And the other misconception is that you had to actually be talented to be on Broadway, but clearly we see that that's not always the case.
Oh, TV? You watch TV? Come on. I've been working nonstop. No talent here. I'm just a pretty face. That's all it is. And I'm surprised the CW has not offered me anything yet because I'm almost 40, but I look 15.
I was going to say 13.
I could have been on Riverdale. I could have been on Riverdale. But they, politics, man.
It really is politics.
Politics.
But I actually genuinely, it sounds like I say that in jest, but I'm actually dead serious. There's it's the politics more or less is about where you went to school. Honestly.
Thank you. How many times have you opened up a playbill on a Broadway show and about 80% of the people Yale, NYU, NYU. And there's I'm not knocking. Music. I have great friends that went to both, but
they're very accredited programs.
It's not all of y'all can be studs. Come on.
No. And and music theater has its own schools too, you know, and there's so many things that I just grapple with now that and it's it's because I'm so woke. It's not because I'm so woke. It really isn't. It's I've taken my eyes off it. I've taken my view away from myself for a second, because in college and in New York, you are told that in order for you to succeed, you have to be self-centered, you have to be egotistical, slightly narcissistic, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I feel like New York is such a beautiful place, but it's also such a toxic place too. And that
oh my gosh,
New York makes you feel like success is a linear thing, and that success and careers are linear across the board. And I'm you see some of the most talented actors not find their stride until they're mid to late 40s, sometimes their 50s.
Thank you.
I just, and I don't buy it. I'm not drinking this Kool-Aid that if I don't have 25 Broadway credits by the time I'm 30 years old, that I'm not going to find success in this industry.
I also, what you're going to say is I didn't have 25 credits to find success. For me, it's a lot of times they say, like, how many Instagram followers do you have, or YouTube
I know.
subscribers, or
They're
Twitter
like free
followers?
publicity.
It's like, yeah, I'm like, but there's less people with talent. Like, how is like, was it Logan Paul getting movie deals, or like the fat Jewish signed with CAA, and CAA
I
just
just don't.
furloughed a whole bunch of people. And like, I don't know, it is exactly what you said. And I think that's one of the things that we, and like Rosa and I, when we were discussing leaving, like one of the things that was really, really getting to us was that in New York, you can't go anywhere without people just talking shop, no matter what shop they're talking,
No.
whether it's Wall Street, whether it's like some sort of business, whether it's, it could be like health insurance. It could be anything
They leave work to talk about
about work.
work.
And that's
I
it.
am
Like,
so
I
over
hate
these
that.
like surface conversations with theater people
Yeah.
when we're out getting a drink socially and you're like, what auditions do you have next? I'm like, I actually don't want to talk about that right now.
No, absolutely. Or like talking about like getting agents, or like, man, like I need to get new reps, or like one of the most
it's different if you're like in a Q&A session,
oh my
like
goodness.
obviously, but
One of the greatest feelings was, it sounds awful, was that COVID hit like at the tail end of pilot season, but as pilot season was really happening. And last year, 2019, I got rid of social media from January till about April, because
refreshing.
I did not want to see social media during pilot season, because I found myself personally becoming a shell of the person that I really am. And it's I mean, not jealousy, I mean, I don't get jealous per se, but I get kind of, it sounds stupid, envious and jealousy like are the same exact thing, but it's not a jealousy to where like I want that job, because a lot of times
it's not like I am jealous so I wish you ill will. It's not like one of those things. It's like there's this huge conception, misconception in this industry, that like an audition is like a competition, or that you have to show up and show out everyone in that room. You have to be back. It's not like I have found that the most success that I have, experienced in an audition setting is when I'm actually encouraging the people around me, because it sounds so cliche and so cheesy and so like goody two shoes. I totally get that that's what it sounds like. But at the end of the day, I enjoy my audition experience better.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy it more when I can be like, girl, you were so fierce.
Yeah.
You're so fierce out there. Cause then they encourage you. The vibes of the room it's just so much better. And I guarantee the creatives notice. They totally notice. They really
100%. I think the best auditions that I ever had were auditions where like I prepared fully, knowing I had nothing to lose. Like there was a lot of time, like I could have said, like my manager would send me breakdowns, and the character could have been like 15 years older than what I should have been playing.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't something that I would play normally. I know that when I go into this casting office, I'm going to look around at the same guys auditioning for this same job are going to be older than me, or just a totally different type.
Right.
Or I just, it might have been a huge guest star, recurring guest star, where I'm not famous enough, or a series regular. I'm not famous enough to where, they're going to really take a huge chance on me. So I went in there with like $0 given. Like I just went in there and I'm like, I'm going to crush this. And I try to do that with every single audition. Like it came to a point where there's that video, long story short, like Bryan Cranston was there. They asked Bryan Cranston for like a short piece of acting advice. And you can like YouTube this. It's, I think, Bryan Cranston acting advice, but the long story of it short is he says, the moment that he really started getting into the world and like really working was when he stopped caring about the auditions as I need to book this to make money. Instead, he went in there saying, I'm going to just do my job. My job is to act, because all you can do is what you do in that room. Everything else after that is out of your hands. You don't know what production is looking for. Like, how many times have you gone in for something and then they change the ethnicity, or they change the gender, or they change something? It's out of your hands.
It is.
But what?
And I just am so I am so ready for the point when it is about the craft again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am so excited, Jorge, for the day that it's not about anything except for the craft.
Yeah.
And that might be such pie in the sky, but like
It's not pie in the sky at all. I
it's
get it totally.
and that's why I'm like, you know what? I don't have to be like this. One of my friends asked me the other day, he was like, what do you want?
Hmm.
Like, what do you want in out of your career? I was
Yeah.
like, honestly, I don't need a Tony Award. It would be
No.
nice.
Yeah.
I don't need a Tony Award. I don't need to be a household name. I don't need to have a quadrillion million followers on Instagram. Like, I just want to be known as someone who is great, who is just truly great at their craft.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be part of something special.
Yeah.
No matter
Because how
what,
many actors
yeah.
do we know and love that like they work, like decently consistently,
Yeah.
but they're not doing job after job after job after job. But every single job they do, you're like, that was a fucking memorable, beautiful performance.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to work on my friends' work. I want to like
Exactly.
help my friends out and like help them thrive and like bring things into this industry that it hasn't seen before. Like I'm like, stop reviving shit. Write new things. Let's take some risks, producers. Let's go.
Oh, I know. No, I totally get that. And I think that's why I feel so good about helping Rami Malek win his Academy Award. And recently helping Hugh Jackman get his Emmy nomination in Bad Education, because I had a good little scene in that movie.
But you know what I really commend you for, Jorge?
Uh-huh.
The fact that you didn't ask them to thank you in their speeches.
Exactly.
You don't need that you don't need that validation, you know?
Nope.
Like, you know what you did. They know what you did. Like, the people that are close to you and close to them, they know the impact that you had, you know?
Exactly.
Like, you don't need verbal validation. Yeah.
No,
that's so big of you.
It takes a big man to do that. And like, I'm really just proud of them. I'm proud of them, all my babies.
You're leading by example.
Exactly. You know,
I feel the
that's
same
all
way.
I want. That's all I want for my daughter.
Yes.
And just to by example, that she can look up and watch a movie or like a TV show that I might have been, I don't know, had my scene cut by about a minute. And she can know, like, you know what? That minute might have been overpowering the performance of the leads. So they needed to cut that minute. Like Succession, if you look at that, my IMDb credits say 2 episodes. I don't know where you see me in that second episode, because that show is such a huge success. Because I had to sacrifice my scene in that second episode.
You really did.
So that it could be the powerhouse of a show that it is. And if
that's what it is, Jorge. Sacrificing yourself for the betterment of the craft. That's what I want to do. All of the auditions that, all of the final callbacks that I've just kind of been like, you know what? It's not my turn yet.
Nope.
It's not my turn yet.
Not yet. Take it.
You know? I'll come back.
You will. And I believe it. You will come back.
I hate us. I hate us so much.
Yeah.
We just went on for 2 minutes.
About facts, straight up facts that people need to know.
They do. It needs to be unearthed.
It needs to be unearthed. But for real though, when I saw Bad Education, and I had a small scene in that film, and I loved every moment of working on that show, that movie. Yeah. That movie was one of the most rewarding experiences for me, because yes, my scene was maybe about a minute long, less than a minute, and I got to work with Jimmy Tatro, and I got to work with a great director and a great writer. But when I saw the movie actually play out, like, it felt like what you said, like, you want to be part of something special. It's like, no matter what it is, if I had one line in a movie directed by like Christopher Nolan, I could die happy knowing that I was part of something. Like, like, everybody has their place and everybody is part of the team when you are part of a production, no matter what it is.
Yeah, you are.
Whether you're a gaffer, whether you're a grip, whether you're like a camera person, whether you're one of the leads, whether you're just a day player, whatever it is. And if you're on Broadway,
every role is important.
And if you can contribute to something that you're proud of, then that's better than like being a lead or like a series regular in a show that you're miserable. Yeah, or
that it's just like a shit production. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what if you finally booked a huge Broadway lead? Well, here's the thing. Like, I had several callbacks for a show on Broadway.
Okay. Yes.
And it rhymes with Schmudge Mob. And
Schmudge Mob. Okay. Yeah.
Schmudge Mob. And I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I had like 5 callbacks for that show, and it just kept going and going. You know how it goes, like with those, like, and I just could never get excited for that show.
I know.
Whether I booked it or not, like if I booked it, I don't know.
Just wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me, and I just wouldn't have been happy doing it. A paycheck would have been great. I think it would have been a great paycheck, but I would not have been happy. I don't know if for me going to work on that show every day, I think it would be very difficult. And there's people that get these big jobs and sometimes they take it because of the money and they realize like, it's not that.
It turns into a job. That's something that I really hope I never have to go through personally is where I don't want to go. Like, you're obviously going to want to stay in bed 5 minutes later. Yeah. That's normal. You're going to want to like have a 5-show weekend off, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, I want to go to work. And then once I'm there, I just want to like be able to self-reflect and be like, you know what? Like, I'm really proud to be here. I'm proud to be a part of this. Absolutely. It's not a job. It is an honor. I mean, treat it like work and with the respect that it deserves.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to be like, ugh, gotta go to work.
I remember I did one show. It was a TV show, and I worked for several days on this show, and the leads of the show, like the series regulars, I got to sit with them and listen to their conversations, and you could tell that these guys were just there collecting a paycheck. Yeah. They were not enthused. They were talking about the girls they were picking up at a musical festival that was happening this week. They're going through an iPad actually about the girls that they were meeting. It was gross.
Great.
And then they were also like, that was one guy was doing that. All of them at some point too started talking about their meal prep programs they were getting, like, those like delivery meal prep services. And they were talking about that, but nowhere were they talking about the show or the scene or what was going on. And you can tell that each of these people, I guess, were just showing up for the check. And they got complacent.
I don't want to be one of those. Like, I don't want to be one of those.
At all.
If I ever am, you got to call me back. You got to call me out.
Absolutely. And like, I did a show. I did The Blacklist with James Spader, and I did Ray Donovan with Liev Schreiber. And like, I'm dropping their names. I'm dropping their names for a specific reason. And it's like, they're doing network shows. You know what I mean? Like, James Spader has done some brilliant movies, and he's doing a show, it's on NBC, and it's kind of campy, but it's what it is. It is what it is. But when I worked with James Spader, it was one of the first times where I did one of these network shows where the lead actually took the time to talk to a day player and broke down the scene. Like, he started a dialogue between me and David Zayas asking about the scene and like in the characters, like, why was this character going to this character and what was the relationship and why were we coming to this moment in this scene in the script. And it just blew my mind that James Spader actually took the time to do the actual actor homework.
It shows.
And James Spader is who he is because of that. The same thing with Liev Schreiber. Like, he came to me, like, I mean, I've done quite a few TV shows, and like, there's only been a few times Liev Schreiber and James Spader, like, specifically, they took the time out and spent time going over the scene and what was going on. And like with Liev, they're both very intense, but then I understand why they are as successful as they are. And that's something I want. That's what I want.
And it's why people want to continue working with them too.
Exactly.
You know,
despite their quirks and like they could be a little, demanding, but they've earned it. They've earned it. And
Can't we all be demanding?
Exactly.
I tried to get a car door to door when I was ensemble and Waitress, but they weren't willing to fork out the cash. So
they could have, but they wanted you to stay humble.
Yeah, they really did. They wanted me to bring me back down.
It's something I kind of wanted to confess to you, was that I caught wind of that, and I said, you know what, make her walk. Make her walk. Don't even give her a discount on the Metro card. And if you see her with an umbrella and it is raining, snatch it away.
And snatch it away out.
And pull out her laptop and let her walk with it outside of her bag.
Yeah.
Because, these are the moments that will build character.
That'll keep you salt of the earth. It'll keep you salt of the earth.
You're welcome. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
That's all I can say.
See, you were always, ever since.
Don't ever say I don't care.
The day that I walked in and you said, hi, my name is Jorge Chapa, also known as Jorge Garcia. What is your name?
Jose Garcia.
What is your name?
And you know what? Like, I'll forgive the fact that you once became a trainer. You moved from the front desk to become a trainer, and you made new friends on that side of the desk. And
but I never forgot you, though. I never forgot you.
Well, I mean, I knew you wanted to wave and say hello to your friends behind the front desk, but I know that your trainer friends wouldn't allow it. So I forgive you.
My wings were clipped a bit.
Well,
by my surroundings.
It happens. It really does happen. And I was a little hurt at the time, but I understand now.
I'm so sorry. Can I just make amends now? Can I make amends for that now?
You can. Well, just don't forget me in your Tony Award nomination.
But I thought you didn't need that. I don't.
You don't need it. You don't need it, but you're gonna get it.
And
it's
I'm
gonna happen.
Thank you in my speech, Jorge.
Yeah. Before your mom and dad.
Yeah. Well, they've only paid for everything.
And after God. After God, you're gonna thank God, and then me, and then your mom and dad.
I would like to thank the Lord, but a really close second should probably be in the Trinity.
Jose Garcia.
Jose Garcia.
You know who you are. That's awful. I think on that note, we're going to call it a day. Thank you for joining me today. Keri, where can we find you on social media?
Keri Fuller 13. I'm really pumping out quality content at the moment. It's mostly my dog and very half-assed singing videos every now and then. But, I'm really trying.
It's spectacular. No, it's spectacular. If you can, I'm going to try to link up that Broadway.com performance. It's spectacular. No, it's really brilliant. You're very talented. And I wish you a lot of luck. It gets better. That's all I can say.
It gets better. It's no sirloin.
Yeah, well, nothing's ever going to top that. I'm sorry. But yeah,
already reached it.
But
not meaning Celine Dion, not But
oh my God, did she ask about me?
She did.
Celine.
She did.
She's such.
She called you Jorge. She didn't even say Jose.
She's like, what is Jorge? I want to hurt him with kisses. All right, everybody. I am Jorge Chapa. You can find me on Instagram at Jorge Chapa 11. That's JORGECHAPA 11. Like I said before, I don't mess with Facebook, so don't even bother going there. On YouTube, I am Jorge Chapa. And don't forget to go to iTunes and Spotify. Give me a really nice review and tell all your friends. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Keri, thank you for joining me. You are the best. Have a great day, everyone.